Hello, my loves, and thank you so much for joining the Get Your Guy Coaching podcast. I hope you know that my name is Dating Coach Anwar, and I'm your dating fairy godbrother. Today, we're going to talk about something that I think really keeps a lot of high-achieving women of color, black and brown women, up at night. I mean, I hear it all the time. It's that feeling that time is slipping away, that you're running out of time to find love and get married and build the family that you want. And, I hear it constantly. Coach Anwar, I'm 32 and still single. All my friends are married with babies. Or I feel like I'm behind and time is running out. Or I've been so focused on my career that I looked up and I'm 38 and no serious relationships. What if that's too late? Girl, well, today we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to dive into why you feel like you're racing against the clock and especially when it comes to love, what you can actually do about it. Okay, so let me just start by saying that there are two types of what I call time panics that I see. Number one, there is this daily time scarcity that happens where it's like, oh, I don't have time to date because I'm too busy with work or grad school or building my business. It's where you're rushing through life, multitasking, everything, feeling like there's not enough days in the hour, in the day. And then there's the second kind of time panic where it's all about like this life timeline panic. It's where it's like, I'm 30 and not married yet. My eggs are getting old. Everyone my age is having babies and I haven't found my person. What if I miss my window? That kind of stuff, right? Here's what's wild. Those two are actually feeding off of each other. The more that you rush through your everyday with the feelings of overwhelmed, the faster that time actually feels like it's passing. The faster time feels like it's passing, the more you panic about your long-term goals. So it's a super vicious cycle. Now, studies show that when you're super stressed and not present, time literally feels like it moves faster. You're living in a fast-forward mode, which makes everything feel urgent, including finding love. So maybe you've heard this before, but I will say it again because I will die on this hill. Also because it's something that nobody is really talking about, especially as it pertains to the timeline for women of color. The timeline that you're panicking about, it's a white woman's timeline, and it has nothing to do with your reality. Society tells you that you should be married by 28, have babies by 30, settled by 35, but that timeline was created for women who had different paths, different pressures, different family structures. Women that maybe didn't have as successful careers as maybe many of you do. So when you look at successful women of color, I'm talking about lawyers, doctors, entrepreneurs, executives. Most of them get married between the ages of 35 and 55, not 25 and 35. Think about Oprah, Condoleezza Rice, Kamala Harris, Shonda Rhimes, Serena Williams. These are all 35 plus ladies, honey. Yeah, these women built their empires first, then found love on their own terms. So that's the strategy. That's how it's going to go for you. So I just want to offer that. But some of us are out here thinking that at 32, you're behind schedule when really you're actually right on track for your demographic. The panic that you may be feeling isn't necessarily based on your reality. That's what I want to share with you. It's based on comparing yourself to a completely different life path. You've probably spent your 20s and early 30s building yourself, gaining education and established careers, and healing generational patterns. And if you haven't, definitely we should talk and you should get into my program so we can help you with that healing part. But that's not lost time. That's foundation time. And here's where things get tricky. Because, intellectually, you're not behind at all. You're probably actually very much advanced. But emotionally, you might still feel rushed because everywhere you look, the messaging is telling you that time is running out. And emotionally, your age might be 8 or 12 and not your physical age. And so you might feel like, oh, I don't feel prepared. I don't feel like I have things going on. So let me try to rush this thing and try to check off a box. That's like the worst thing that you can do. Okay? So here's something that I believe is super fascinating from research on time perception, and it is this. When you're fully present, you feel like you have more time. When you're stressed and thinking about the future, and most of us do, right? That's actually a trauma response because you're checking for plan B, plan C, plan D to make sure that you can achieve your goals. Time speeds up. Think about it. When you're in flow at work or even in pleasure, the hours pass like minutes. Girl, I was writing my book. I was so in flow, girl. I would look up, girl, it's 2 a.m. I felt like I was in college again, about to do an all-nighter. Lord knows my body can't take an all-nighter, but I was there, girl, because I was in flow. And I'm pretty sure that it's the same for you as well, right? That when you're trying to get more done than you can, and you're anxiously looking and watching the clock, it's going to feel like you're more stressed and it's going to feel like time's going by super fast, right? The same principle applies to your life timeline as well. The women who successfully find love I've seen in my program aren't the ones that are racing against time. They're the ones that saying, oh, I'll find him when I get him. I know that'll happen. I'm not focused on getting it at the 6-month mark or at the 1-year mark. They're the ones who slow down enough to be present for the opportunities that are in front of them. That helps them actually learn more in the present moment. That will help them not just get into a relationship, but thrive in the relationship that they get because they're learning the foundational principles while dating. They're not so focused on the destination that they miss the learnings of the journey. That's what's important more than anything else. I had a client, successful lawyer, 34, convinced that she was like super behind in her schedule. And she was speed dating and she was trying to optimize every interaction and she was treating dating like a business transaction. And the more that she rushed, the more men pulled away because men can sense that pressure, that internal pressure that you're putting inside yourself. It comes off as desperate energy. Even if you don't feel like you're giving it, you will be projecting it outward and that will be felt. When we slowed her down, taught her how to be present on dates instead of interviewing for her husband, instead of a lot of the ladies who are in a rush, I always say, oh girl, you're relationshiping, you're not dating. When you actually allow yourself to just date, you'll be surprised how fast you'll be able to get into an amazing relationship. With all of that said, that lawyer has met her now fiance, and they're rocking out and will be married in 2026. So I'm super excited for her. But I want to talk a little bit about how dating can actually create more time panic because I hear it all the time, every day, like I was talking about earlier today. And I'm pretty sure that many of you all are feeling this as well, right? The spiral, especially when you're dating, can get worse and worse. And that's why I think a lot of people avoid dating. Because the dating process itself can make you feel like you're running out of time, right? You go on a date after date after date with men who aren't your person. And so you're investing weeks or months getting to know someone only to realize that they're not serious about commitment. And, for those situations where you have great chemistry with someone who disappears after 3 dates, it can feel really demoralizing. And like, you're asking yourself, why am I even doing this? Each quote unquote wrong person can feel like lost time. That's why I hear so much, I don't want to waste my time. I don't want to waste my time. And when you feel like you're losing time, it's going to make you rush even more. I know a lot of very smart women that are intellectually smart, but are making decisions that aren't going to serve them because they're rushing. Because they haven't done the due diligence. Intellectually, spiritually, physically, and emotionally, and financially, let's keep it real. So when you start trying to speed up the process, pushing for exclusivity too early, having the where is this going conversation on date 2 or 3, trying to optimize every interaction for a marriage proposal or potential, that's not going to work, girl. And here's the ironic part. The more you rush, the further behind you will actually get. I know it sounds crazy. I know it's like, I work hard, I go hard in the pain at work, and I hit my goals. I get it. I get promotions. It doesn't work in love, babe. It doesn't work in love. I'm about to call you babe. I will call you babe. Babe, it doesn't work. When you're in time panic mode, you're going to make poor decisions. You're going to ignore the warning signs because you don't feel like you have time to start over. You're going to settle for good enough because Perfect feels like it would take too long. You're going to attract men who can sense your desperation and either run away or try to take advantage of it. Rushing in dating is like trying to drive faster in traffic by love. You think you're saving time, but you're actually more likely to crash, girl, or take the wrong exit. The women who find quality men are the ones who slow down. Stay in that middle lane, girl. Stay discerning. Trust the process. So, let's reframe your timeline a little bit. Let me give you some perspective that I think actually will be based on your reality, not society's expectations. The most successful women of color I know, the ones with thriving careers, solid marriages, most of them found their person between the ages of 35 and 50. Not because they were late bloomers, but because that's when they had built themselves into women worthy of love that they wanted. And because they were at that level, it was easier for them to find their match and to be able to see the men that are built versus not built. Your 20s, your 30s weren't or aren't wasted. They are your foundational years. While other people are coupling up early, you're building financial independence. I said this before, but you're healing trauma. It is not lost years. This work makes you a better partner, not a behind partner. This panic of you feeling like, you're behind, that's not your story. That's not your ministry. How you spend the time between now and meeting your person determines the quality of the relationship you'll attract. If you're rushing through dates in panic mode, trying to force timelines that don't exist, you're not building the emotional maturity that creates lasting love. And I think it's important to understand that. So, instead of thinking, I'm running out of time, I want you to start thinking, how do I invest this time wisely? Every day that you're not in a relationship, you have the opportunity to become more emotionally intelligent, more self-aware, more healed. Every date that doesn't lead to marriage is teaching you something about what you want and who you are. The time that you're spending right now as a single woman is not lost time. It's preparation time. But only if you're intentional about it. If you're just grinding and avoiding your emotions, then yes, time is being wasted. Here's what investing your time looks like. It looks like therapy and/or coaching to heal your patterns. It looks like learning to receive love and support from friends and family. It looks like practicing vulnerability. It looks like building a very full life that you love, that someone gets to join, not save. This isn't just feel-good advice. If you know me by now, you know I'm not going to blow smoke up your butt, girl. This is strategy. The women who find lasting love are the ones who use their single time to become whole, not the ones who rush into relationships to fill that void. So, with all of that said, I do want to talk a little bit about why it's probably better to, quote unquote, delay in marriage. It's not holding you back, right? It's actually setting you up for generational wealth. And it wouldn't have been possible every other way. And because we're playing catch up, and if you hear background noise, those are my two dogs, Brittany and Spears, getting comfortable just like I am. Don't worry about that. But what I was saying was, you are going to be creating generational wealth when you get married and get partnered later in life. Think about it. If you were married at 25, you'd be building a life with someone who is also 25. And y'all would probably be broke, still paying off those loans, girl, no shade, figuring out your career, and not knowing what you're doing and not knowing if you would be successful or not. And your partner. You'd probably be struggling together, splitting cheap rent, hoping to afford a starter home by 35. Instead, where many of you are right now, you've already spent your 20s and, depending on who you are, your 30s building assets, increasing your earning power, establishing amazing credit, hopefully, girl. and maybe even buying property. When you're marrying at 35, 40, 45, 50, you're bringing real wealth to the table, and your partner should also be established. Together, you're not just surviving, you're creating this foundation for generational wealth, which is not just going to be amazing for you, but for our community at large. Your future children won't grow up in financial stress like many of us did. They'll have amazing college funds, family vacations, opportunities that we never had. Your delay becomes their advantage. So you're not behind, girl. You're playing a completely different game and winning. You will win. Okay? The other thing that I want to offer to you all, because I know some of us are still tripping about partnering later on in life, is that the women who achieve higher levels of success before marriage, they're the women that have significantly lower divorce rates and higher relationship satisfaction than women who marry younger. Why? Because when you've built yourself first, you're not looking for someone to complete you or save you. You're looking for someone to complement you. You're not desperate, and you shouldn't be. You're discerning. You know your worth because you've built it, not because someone told you what it was. Women who marry from a place of strength rather than need make better partner choices. They're less likely to ignore warning signs, less likely to settle for incompatibility, less likely to stay in relationships that don't really serve them. So I just want to offer that to you, right? That your career success isn't about competing with your love life. It's preparing you for a love life that actually works. Every promotion, every achievement, every dollar in your account is making you a better partner and attracting better partners. Okay? I say this because the rush to couple up often leads to relationships built on need, not love. And I want you to know that your timeline is building relationships that are built on choice, which is why they will last and last longer and better. Okay? So, earlier I talked about how time feels like a rush because we have so many unprocessed emotions that we're like holding on to in our bodies, and it's like a heavier burden, and we're going faster because of it. I know this is cliche. I know this sounds super simple, but you're going to have to feel your feelings. All the time management techniques in the world will not help you if you're carrying years of unprocessed emotions, girl. Right? That time panic that I was talking about, it comes from the emotional overwhelm. So the answer is not managing your schedule better. Forget what everybody told you. It's going to be about processing your emotions that you've been avoiding. So start with this. Every day, I want you to ask yourself, what am I not letting myself feel right now? Maybe it's grief about relationships that didn't work out. Maybe it is a strained relationship with a sibling or a parent. Maybe it's anger about having to choose between career and love. Maybe it is fear that you're not actually lovable. Maybe it's sadness about feeling behind your peers. Whatever comes up for you, don't try to fix it. Don't try to change it. Don't try to positive think your way out of it, because that doesn't really work as much either. No shade. Just feel it. Cry if you need to cry. Journal if you need to write about it. Call your therapist or your coach if you need some professional support. That's what we're looking for here. Here's what happens when you actually process your emotions instead of avoiding them. You're going to stop carrying the internal pressure. Your nervous system is going to relax, and time is going to slow down because you're not constantly running from yourself. When you're in flow with your emotions and in life, things are going to feel easeful. Because when you're in flow with life, time becomes your ally instead of your enemy. You start to operate from presence, right? Instead of panic. And that's when everything shifts, including your dating life. The women who find great love, in my experience doing this work for 15 years, aren't the ones who manage their time perfectly. They're the ones who learn to be present with themselves, including the uncomfortable parts, by the way. And that presence is what attracts secure and emotionally available partners. Okay? So, with all of that said, my loves, your love story is unfolding exactly how it should. The time that you've spent becoming who you're meant to be isn't wasted time. It's the most important investment you'll ever make. Stop racing against an imaginary clock and start investing in the woman your future person is going to fall in love with. She's not stressed about timelines. She's present. She's whole. She knows her worth. Time isn't running out, girl. You're just getting started. And that's how you get your guy. Not by rushing, but by being so present and so grounded that love has space to find you. So, I'm going to leave you with a breath exercise from a breathwork coach, Jesse Coomer, and I hope that this centers you. I hope that this helps you become present right here and right now. Until next time, I love you all so much. Be well.
Two techniques I want to share.
Okay.
And these are especially good for those times when we're feeling overwhelmed, when we've got a million things going on and we're dealing with all these different stressors and there's so many demands. One of them is one that you can do in public. The other one, you may want to try to do this in private. We'll do that one first. This one, the first one I call lovingly, I call it sniff, sniff, poo. Okay. And the reason why I'm a dad and I like dad jokes. But with this technique, it describes it perfectly. So you take 2 sniffs in to full lungs, and then you exhale through your mouth. The first sniff is going to be about 70% full, and then you're going to top off your lungs, and then you're going to exhale through your mouth. It'll look like this. I'll be the first one to kind of look silly. Okay. So here we go. It'll look like this. So sniff, sniff. Now, you can repeat this multiple times. For the ladies who are listening while you're driving, please don't repeat it that many times. You can get a little lightheaded.
Okay.
It's not a problem if you feel a little lightheaded. It's part of the technique. But this technique is interesting because it uses parts of our nervous system that we intuitively use when we're babies, but then later on we don't access those. So one of them is sobbing, right? So just the act of sobbing and just crying uncontrollably is something that, you can't necessarily do in everyday life whenever everybody's around and things. And there's a time and place. It's important to mourn. It's important to let those emotions out. But you're out and you need to get to work and you're doing things. So what this does with that, right? You're doing that just like whenever you were a little baby and you were crying. Okay?
Right.
And this is incredibly powerful as a soothing mechanism. The other thing we're doing is we're stimulating what's called the vagus nerve, and it's part of our nervous system that helps us to get into, instead of fight or flight, it brings us over to that other part that we sometimes call rest and digest. And so it stimulates all of those things. And then of course we're moving some air, we're circulating some breath, and that can also help us to feel calm as well. So that one, sniff, sniff, poo. You can do that. You could do that multiple times. Usually just 3 or 5 repetitions is all you're ever going to need. And, you may not want to do it. Everybody's at the dinner table. You're like, you know what? I've had it. Right. But hey, you do you. The other is called 4-7-8 breathing. I call it the cadence of bliss just because it feels so good. And it does cause a quick head change in a positive way. So you can do this while driving. I would say do this while not driving first, as with any technique. You just always want to experience it in a safe place whenever you're seated or lying down. This is a great one for lying down or seated. You can do this in meetings. You can do this at the boardroom. You can do this at the dinner table, wherever you'd like to do it. And so we're going to inhale for 4 seconds. We're going to hold our breath with very full lungs for 7 seconds. And then we're going to exhale for 8 seconds. Okay, in for 4, hold for 7.
In through
out
the
for 8.
nose, exhale through the mouth.
You can do mouth or nose on the exhale.
Okay.
So, but in through the nose. And whenever we're inhaling, we really want to make us as full lungs as we can. So we want to very full lungs by the time we get to the breath hold. So really expand your ribs, really just make them come out as far as you can. Okay. I'm going to guide us through just 4 repetitions of this technique. All right. So before we even start, this is a fun one to just close your eyes if you can and just become aware of how you feel. Kind of just scan your body from head to toe and just observe your state right now as it is. We're going to compare the way we feel now to the way we feel after we've done just 4 repetitions of this breathing technique. All right. So let's take a deep breath so we're on the same breath. So deep breath in. And then just let it go nice and slow. We're going to come back to neutral so we can start. Okay. We're going to breathe in, expand, expand, expand. Hold with full lungs. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Good. In. Breathe. In. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Relax it out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Good. In. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Last one. In. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Relax it out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now go back into normal breathing and just observe how you might feel just a little different. Just kind of scan yourself from head to toe. And when you're ready, you can open up your eyes.
Wow. That was good.